Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
And we begin with the developing story happening in southeast Bexar County, where a man was shot by an Elmendorf police officer. It started about 5 this evening on North 5th Avenue near Old Corpus Christi Road. That's where Elmendorf police were responding to reports of a suspicious vehicle. Elmendorf Police Chief Marco Pena says at one point an officer saw a man and woman trying to run away. The officer chased after that man and woman. Chief Pena says that's when the man who was running away pulled out a gun, prompting the officer to shoot him. That man in the hospital tonight, not sure of his condition. No one else hurt. Chief Pena said the officer who fired their weapon will be placed on administrative leave. That's department policy. We'll let you know about any updates that come out of Elmendorf, both online and on GMSA in the morning. Neglect at the cemetery, painful problems that have not been addressed. Exactly what a San Antonio family tells us they've been dealing with for 15 years. It's part of a story we've been following now for months. The night team Zaria Oates continues our coverage at San Fernando Cemetery number 2. Tonight, we're hearing from family members for the first time.
I'm assuming that if these go right here, then there's
one there for sure, maybe one right there.
It's a guessing game, finding some of the gravestones at San Fernando Cemetery 2. It's a story we've been following for months. Several viewers sending in these pictures and videos of headstones sinking into the ground, a lack of grass, and vehicle marks of vehicles driving right on top of gravestones.
I just cry my eyes out every time I come.
Elizabeth Flores has been dealing with this for over a decade.
At least 15 years ago, I started complaining because there was small riding moors coming right over our area.
She bought 12 plots for her entire family in 1979. Now, 46 years later, and her son Michael Flores is seeing it for himself.
And then you can see the path as it goes right here.
It's just straight over.
It's straight over all these.
As we're out here working on this story about the tractor marks over these gravestones, we're seeing one that you can't even tell that there's a gravestone right here. Can you show me what you just did? We didn't even know for sure that there was a gravestone underneath there.
It's really terrible.
While the family plots were purchased over 4 decades ago, the ongoing issues within the last 10 years have led to a tough decision. Elizabeth reluctantly has decided to split up where her loved ones are buried.
My husband passed away 10 years ago, and we had our plots here. I just couldn't bury him there. I walked out of there. I said, no, I'm going to Holy Cross, and I'm going to buy another area over there.
A statement from the Archdiocese reads in part, quote, crews are laboring diligently at each of the locations, doing what they can to effectively and proactively work around weather conditions. They also said the Archbishop isn't available for interviews because he's traveling for meetings through July. But the Flores family is now considering exhuming their loved ones buried here.
I have thought of doing that, yes. It's our property. We paid for it. It's just like saying, should I go to someone's backyard with a tractor and mow their grass?
That's not right to all these people. I mean, it's disgusting.
Zaria Oates, KSAT 12 News.
Of course, we'll continue to follow that story. Also, 2 weeks later, and still so many questions. The pain for those who lost loved ones in the city's flooding tragedy remains tonight, though the landscape in Battle Creek has certainly changed. This is video we took today of Battle Creek near Austin Highway and Perrin Battle, the site where many of the flood victims were found. Now in drier conditions, we spoke with a man who returns to this area frequently to look for clues about what happened.
I got a call late that night that he was missing. So my immediate reaction was I need to go down there looking for personal items, trying to pretty much figure out what happened, how it happened.
Frank Trevino was among those who lost a friend in the floodwaters, but as you just heard, he's not done searching for answers. He told our crews he goes down there almost daily now, looking for anything left behind. He says if he does come across personal items, he plans to return them to the families. And as we remember those painful images from that downpour we saw 2 weeks ago, we're keeping an eye on our current forecast. Shelby Ebertowski joins us now. Shelby, we don't need deadly floods. We do, though, still need rain.
Yes, and that's exactly correct. The latest drought monitor is in today. didn't show that much of a difference for most of us across South Texas, but what we did get today was some areas saw some much needed rain. Take a look at this. Areas near Schertz, Cibolo, Selma, and even in Marion got almost an inch of rain. And take a look at this. This is a rain gauge from KSAT Connect of just over an inch, maybe about an inch and a quarter of rain in Cibolo. That's how much rain fell with that heavier band we were tracking right along I-35 earlier in the earlier newscast. Now, if you didn't get any rain today, don't worry. You have a few more chances. About a 10 to 20% chance of rain starting tomorrow until the end and through next week. Now, that does have a chance to put a damper on your 4th of July forecast next week, but we're also tracking some Saharan dust that could impact that. I'll break all of that down and what you need to know for a early 4th of July forecast coming up in just a bit.
Come to the front door, Jacob. Inside the home. I know you can hear my voice.
San Antonio police tonight on a loudspeaker calling for a suspect to come out of a home. The standoff lasted for about 6 hours before police cleared that scene. Tonight, we're learning the house at the center of it all has been a problem spot for years. The night team's Avery Everett shows us the history of police calls to this one particular house and how today played out.
This is the police department.
From across the street.
Make the right choice by coming outside with your hands up.
And down the block. The message San Antonio police were sending to this Westside home was heard loud and clear. Officers called for a suspect to come out of this house after barricading themselves inside for roughly 6 hours. It's a situation neighbors say comes as no shock.
This is not the first time. This is like the 20th time. The cops been here every other weekend.
Let's go back to the beginning of this situation. This all started around 6 a.m. Thursday morning with a crime spree. An SAPD spokesperson says multiple suspects were trying to break into a car when the owner of that vehicle saw them. The suspects pulled a gun and then got away. Officers tracked them to this house on Westland, a place the department says is a familiar stop.
The house where they are right now is a known house in this area.
As of early Thursday afternoon, SAPD said 3 people had been taken into custody. Some from this house on Westland, and at least one other was arrested at the intersection of Bronco Lane and Spur Drive, which is about a 4-minute drive away. On Westland, officers cleared out by 5 p.m. Now we're still waiting for the department to confirm just how many suspects were taken in total. But SAPD says they believe there's more to this story.
You don't just wake up one morning and decide to start doing this kind of activity. This is something, like I said, that they've been doing for a while.
And the call logs show it. We counted 25 calls of service from the San Antonio Police Department to this house on Westland since the start of the year. 3 of those to recover stolen property.
Drugs, stolen cars, gunshots.
Neighbors say for at least the last 4 years, the people coming in and out of this home brought trouble to the neighborhood. Broken windows and torn down fences show the aftermath of this standoff. As San Antonio police continue their investigation, neighbors here say they're on standby, hoping their street calms down after the chaos on Thursday. Avery Everett, KSAT 12 News.
Happening tomorrow, a major development expected in the deadliest human smuggling case in U.S. history. 2 men, Armando Gonzalez Ortega and Felipe Ordonez Torres, will learn their fate in federal court. That's expected to happen tomorrow. Authorities say the 2 helped coordinate and organize the operation that left 53 migrants dead. On June 27, 2022, officers found 67 people packed into a sweltering semi-trailer on San Antonio's southwest side. This is video taken from KSAT crews on that day. Most of the migrants had traveled from Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. The tragedy marks its 3rd anniversary this week. Tomorrow, U.S. District Judge Orlando Garcia will deliver sentencing, with both men facing up to life in prison. Another inmate has died at the Bexar County Jail. According to the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office, 36-year-old Joanna Hines died on Wednesday night after suffering a medical episode. The sheriff's office says she was receiving drug detox treatment and was going through withdrawal symptoms. Deputies tried performing life-saving measures but were not successful. Her official cause of death has not yet been determined. Sadly, this is not the first time we've told you about the death of an inmate within the Bexar County Jail. In fact, per KSAT's count, Hines is the 6th inmate to die in the jail since the beginning of the year. It's a troubling trend that we're going to stay on top of. And you on the Nightbeat, a Schertz police officer facing a DWI charge tonight. This is Sergeant Michael McGuire. He was arrested by his own department while he was off duty this morning. Happened about 4 a.m. at the Sycamore Creek Apartments on Elbow Road, right next to Schertz Parkway. Sergeant McGuire, a 22-year veteran of the department, will be placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of an investigation. Was it tragedy avoided? An update to a story we've been following for weeks now. A charge has been filed and the case against this teenager will move forward. That teen accused of planning a mass attack at Rhodes Middle School. He was in court this morning. The state saying more charges could be coming, but they're working on giving the defense its evidence in this case. Juvenile District Court Judge William Cruz Shaw says in the meantime he will continue to evaluate whether the teen will remain in custody with routine detention hearings.
I want the community to understand that we don't have a bond process over here. A child cannot bond out, and they are entitled to their detention hearing every 10 days unless they waive that hearing. But if they don't waive the hearing, we have to have it every 10 days, and the court's going to decide whether or not we're going to release that child.
The next hearing set for July 10th. As for the teen's mother, Ashley Pardo, that you see there, who was also charged in this case, accused of helping her son. She still awaits being indicted, but her next hearing is next month as well. You know, drive down a stretch of Pleasanton Road and the Gonzaba name is everywhere. Coming up, meet the man who started it all. We pay a house call to Dr. Bill Gonzaba when we come back. But taking a live look outside, we are in a pattern where it seems like we get afternoon rain showers almost every day. That's pretty nice. How long is it going to stick around, and what about the 4th of July? Shelby has your forecast coming up. New on the Nightbeat, amid cutbacks and cuts, the Judson ISD's Board of Trustees approving a proposed budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. This week, the board made several cuts across the district, eliminating positions, extracurricular activities, and incentives. Those eliminations include the golf and powerlifting teams, student athletics insurance, and district positions. If the name Dr. William Gonzaba sounds familiar, it should. He built the Gonzaba Medical Group from a one-room clinic on the south side into a medical empire. Tomorrow, Dr. Bill, as his patients call him, turns 91. I got the chance to visit with him about his legacy that he built in the lab coat. Dr. Bill doesn't see patients anymore, but he still makes rounds, often the first to show up at the Pleasanton Road Clinic and the last to leave. He grew up on the south side, and from the clinic is where the Gonzaba practice spread. The Gonzaba Medical Group has almost 1,000 employees. And take a walk with Dr. Bill, and you're going to notice something else he's built: loyalty. Did you ever think about leaving?
Leaving? No. No. The south side is my spirit. This is where I started. Why? Because the people from El Barrio, my neighborhood, they became my patients.
Why would he leave? He says when he started his own practice on Nagalito Street, there weren't doctors on the south side. I enjoyed visiting with him and learning his habits, like writing down ideas or words of wisdom in a journal. He has a lot of them. Happy early birthday to this San Antonio original. By the way, if you want to see my entire story on Dr. Bill, it's on KSAT.com right now. All right, let's talk about the weather. Got a big holiday where, people like to be outside, like to enjoy the weather and the fireworks, and maybe some hot dogs and apple pie, all things American.
Ooh, you can't forget the ice cream, too.
Ice cream?
Ice cream.
How quickly will it melt?
Well, see, it is Texas, so there is a good chance any ice cream or any frozen desserts next week could melt, but take a look at the headlines for the forecast. Now, we've talked about the rain chances. That's going to continue over the next little while, is just less and less coverage throughout the next few days, just with the isolated rain showers and the potential for just quick downpours in the afternoon. But then this weekend and even getting into next week, while some areas see the chance of some rain showers, other areas are going to see some Saharan dust, and that could return right before 4th of July and right before triple-digit heat returns as well. Temperatures right now, though, for most of us sitting in those 80s, 91 degrees still in Del Rio, but I want to highlight New Braunfels. They're sitting around 79 degrees, same with Bernie, but areas just to the south of New Braunfels near Cibolo, that's where they saw the rain chances and where they saw over an inch of rain. So some areas were already sitting a little cooler earlier today. Humidity still also a factor for most of us as well, but throughout your day tomorrow, still about a 10% chance of some isolated showers in the afternoon into the evening hours, but that's it, just a 10% chance. And even if you don't see the rain, temperatures tomorrow morning definitely sitting on the warmer side in those low 90s, 94 expected for San Antonio. And so far this year, we've only had 3 triple-digit days. Normally, today is the first day on average we see our first triple-digit day in San Antonio. So this time in 2024, we had 7 triple-digit days. Back in 2022, we already had 21 triple-digit days. So the fact that we are only seeing 3, or we've only had 3 100-degree days, definitely shows us that we're more seasonable for most of us. Now, although we didn't see triple-digit days, parts of the country did, and that's all because of this area of high pressure, that heat high that's currently still sitting in areas of Florida, giving areas of the Panhandle more heat. Now, they can keep it over there, but what the heat high will do is it can have the potential to bring in some Saharan dust. Now, the Saharan desert, it is continuing to have a light plume of that dust make its way with the trade winds into areas of the Gulf starting tonight into tomorrow. Now, with that high pressure, it's going to continue to rotate, and that's going to allow some of that extra dust to make its way into areas of South Texas starting tomorrow for some folks, but then really starting to have another plume of that smoke coming in Monday and even getting into areas on Tuesday. Now, easiest way to notice, you're going to see a little bit of a hazy horizon. Even that sunset or the sunrise is going to look a little smoky. So if you do have any allergies or if you are sensitive to the dust, here's your warning. It's going to continue throughout Tuesday, but not only Tuesday and Wednesday, a little bit Thursday, and this goes right up to the 4th of July next week. So definitely going to want to watch that chance for that moderate dusk as we head throughout the rest of your next week. Now, once again, 4th of July is next weekend. Now, it is still way too early to give you an exact number, but we're continuing to be on the warmer trend. So we are expecting temperatures to be near 100 degrees for most of us here in South Central Texas. And once again, temperatures continuing to be in those 90s, still going to have a light layer of some dust in the sky and about a 10% chance of some rain showers leading up to the big day next Friday.
All right. Thank you, Shelby. All right, the NBA draft is now officially over, and the Spurs' 2 draft picks are in town.
Yes, they've made it to the Alamo City, and here's what we know. Dylan Harper is a game changer, a future star, and Carter Bryant, he's a steal. We'll tell you why and hear from Bryant. And Tate Taylor, the track superstar out of Harlan High School, wins a National Player of the Year award. Also, one local baller inks a new WNBA deal after the break.
We had Carter pretty high on our board and actually tried, made some moves to potentially go and get him. And so to get him at 14 was a pleasant surprise for us tonight.
The Spurs front office couldn't believe their own luck when Carter Bryant fell to number 14 in the 2025 NBA draft in Big Board Sports. All right, the 2025 NBA draft is in the books. The San Antonio Spurs were in a position for a 3rd year in a row to draft a potential game changer, and they did just that with 6'6" combo guard Dylan Harper out of Rutgers. Harper arrived to the Alamo City today, as did 6'7" wing Carter Bryant from the University of Arizona. Harper is the headliner, but Bryant is considered the steal of the draft. Many mock drafts had him going in the top 12, but the Spurs got him at 14. Here's Bryant with Larry Ramirez last night in Brooklyn.
What does it mean to you to be selected by the San Antonio Spurs?
I mean, it means everything to me. It's such a storied franchise and a historic franchise, so obviously they've had a ton of great lottery picks and guys that have proven that they're capable of doing things at a high level. So I'm looking forward to adding to the roster and looking to make a leap this year.
Tell me your thoughts on Dylan Harper, who the Spurs also selected tonight.
That's a bad boy right there. That's a bad boy. I mean, you guys saw it all year at Rutgers. He played basketball at a high level. I'm ready to get back to winning basketball with him this year.
What do you think about the possibility of getting to play with Victor Wembanyama?
I mean, obviously, he's a hell of a player. He's one of a kind. He's a guy, they call him the alien for a reason. So, I mean, he's going to make my job a lot easier, and my goal is to make his a lot easier as well.
For Spurs fans that don't know your game, tell them what your game is about.
The defensive side of the ball, being able to show everything, being able to guard multiple positions, being able to shoot the basketball as well, being able to bring physicality and toughness every night.
Now, I know this has been talked about a lot, and it's something that, honestly, I just found out. Tell us about your family background and why you know sign language.
Yeah, so I was born into a family with both my grandparents being deaf on my mother's side. My mom grew up and ended up being a sign language interpreter. My grandmother was at the principal for the California School for the Deaf for many years. My grandfather played for Phil Jackson, being a deaf basketball player in Isabela in Puerto Rico, where my family is from, on my mother's side with my grandfather. So I had constantly been around the deaf community as something that I picked up, and it ended up being my first language.
What an inspiring backstory. All right, San Antonio's own Kiana Williams is back in the WNBA, inking a rest of the season contract with the Phoenix Mercury today. The 5'8" sharpshooter out of Wagner High School and Stanford University brings her elite three-point shooting and championship pedigree to a Mercury team battling injuries. Williams' next chance to debut with Phoenix is tomorrow when they play host to the Liberty. All right, coming up after the break, a local track superstar, Tate Taylor, awarded National Player of the Year. This was the scene right before track star Tate Taylor was surprised with the 2024-25 Gatorade National Boys Track and Field Player of the Year award. Back in May, Taylor set a new national high school record in the 100-meter dash with a time of 9.92 seconds at the 2025 UIL State Track and Field Meet. KSAT 12 sports reporter Nick Mantis reports from Harlan High School.
I was very surprised because I didn't expect that many people to be there. I thought it was going to be like, some family members and a few other friends, but it was a big crowd and I was very grateful. But whenever I heard that I won the National Boys Track and Field Player of the Year, I was very surprised. There's a lot of my friends who do not live in this city, so for them to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours just to get down here to see me be handed a trophy and celebrate me was truly a blessing, and I cannot thank those guys enough, man. I love the people around me.
So from here, Tate has a possibility of starting his professional career. But his mom is a teacher here at Harlan High School and wants to see him run at the next level. So what's that conversation like at home between going to college or going pro?
Me and his dad talked about school at least 1 year. Kind of like Sydney McLaughlin, she went to Kentucky for a year. She just shattered records, and so she kind of saw no point to continue. So we'll see where he's at.
My mom and my dad had an agreement that I was going to go to college for at least 1 year, but me and my coach definitely have other plans because I'm not trying to do school. It's truly all depending on my performance and how I'm feeling at the moment. But obviously going to school it's a wonderful option. I'd love to get that college experience, but if something else happens, then y'all will know.
Nick Mantis, KSAT 12 Sports.
Time will tell if he goes pro right away or if he goes to college. I'm eager to know what he does.
We'll see if mom gets her way or not.
Who's going to win that one?
Thanks, Mary. We'll be right back.